What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to the Blazers Uprise Postgame show. The Blazers take care of business tonight against the Magic, holding them to 97 points. I believe this is only the third time that the Blazers have held a team below 100 points so far this season. The Blazers put up 106 on the board. That's definitely below their average, but they take care of this game in a way that they're not really used to doing. That's by playing some defense and holding the Magic to a lower scoring total. You know, the Blazers give up 100, somewhere in the range of like 116, 117 points per game, so holding them to 97, definite accomplishment. We'll touch on that. We'll touch on the defense. We'll touch on the offense as well, and we will touch on some of the individual players in this one. So it's good to be back. It's been a couple days. It's been about 2.5 days since we've had a post-game stream, so it's nice to be back streaming to you guys, especially after a Blazers win. The Blazers moved to 13-10 on the season, and have their next game coming up on Thursday, where they'll try and climb above 500. That's the optimistic goal right now. They got a couple more games at home, and they will want to build on this success. So, what's going on to everybody in chat? Once again, thank you for tuning in. Eric, what do you want to start with? Do you want to start with the defense? Let's start with the defense. What do you think about the Blazers' defense in this game? How much of it was the Magic's offense missing shots? Whether maybe that's due to them being super injured and not really having great personnel right now. How much of it was them? How much of it was us? What do you think about that side of the floor today?
Well, the Magic, with all their injuries, don't have really a single player that can take advantage of our crappy defense. So I felt like this was a game where we should have seen really good defensive effort because, I mean, they don't have a scorer that can break someone down in a pick and roll, which is our biggest struggle on defense, is defending the pick and roll. Terrence Ross can a little bit, like NBA Forever says, but he's not. He's more of like a quick trigger, catch and shoot type guy. He can create a little bit, but it's not like the best part of his game. And he's probably their best creator off the dribble once Cole Anthony went down. It's it's a little hard to judge the defense when they didn't really run many pick and rolls. They did in the beginning with Vucevic a little bit, and he was missing some shots. Early in this game, he got hotter as the game went along. Overall, it's hard to tell anything we did really on defense. We found the team that's more devastating injury-wise than our team. So, it's I don't know. You can't really do anything scheme-wise when they don't really do much on offense.
Yeah, I mean, I want this type of performance against better equipped teams, you know what I mean? Not trying to discount because the Blazers have played against bad teams and given up 120 plus points. So I like that they did what they were supposed to do, but I'm not necessarily impressed. That's two different things, right? They took care of business, don't really have any complaints on that end. They did what they were supposed to do, but I wouldn't say this is impressive when you compare it against some other performances they've had this season. So they do this against a Laker team, which they already did once earlier this year. That's an impressive defensive night. Tonight, against this Magic team, I'm not impressed, and I don't think anybody should necessarily be impressed. It's not even a negative thing. That's just the reality of the situation. No complaints, but I want to see them hold a good offense to below 100 points. That would be phenomenal. I would love to see that.
Yeah, and I wasn't trying to be negative either. It's just we had to win this game. Orlando Magic absolutely suck without all their guys, and they had no business even being in this game. I'm happy we got the win. This seemed like a game that we could have possibly let slip away if we would have lost focus. We had some stretches in the second half where a couple players, primarily Dame, Melo, and Simons, had a stretch where he hit like 3 threes in a row. That really kind of helped us prevent maybe some disaster from happening. we let them hang around, stay within that like 7 to 15 point mark, and every time it seemed like we were going to go put them away. We could never seem to do that, but I'm just happy we got the victory tonight.
Yeah, so it's nice to have a couple days off and then go into a game where you could play Dame less than 36 minutes. He only played 34 tonight, especially with all these injuries. Like 34 is still a decent amount of minutes, But anytime you can keep him to 36 or below with all these injuries, that's a success, And he looked more normal tonight, especially in the second half. He had a huge third quarter, had 18 in the quarter. That was his season high in terms of points in a quarter so far this year. Yeah, he didn't necessarily shoot the ball great, at least inside the arc. He was 5 for 10 from 3. You like to see that, 50%. He was 4 for 12 inside the arc. Had a little bit of trouble attacking the rim, but he did get to the free throw line a lot. He knocked down all 13 of his free throws, so overall it was a pretty efficient night from him. So it was nice to see Dame, after how hobbled he looked last game. It was nice to see him look more normal today. It was nice to keep his minutes below 36, not have to run him into the ground. And it was nice to there were stretches where we did struggle a little bit in this game, but it was nice to maintain a lead, right? We're so used to the Blazers blowing leads that it's always nice when they can kind of maintain around a 7 to 10 point gap over a team that they should, because we've already seen them choke big leads to inferior teams so far this year. So you got to be a little bit happy about that.
Yeah, absolutely. This seems like a game we would have lost last year.
Yeah.
So I'm happy we got the victory, and if as long as they don't play like this against better teams, they'll be fine, and hopefully they can figure out some of the things they struggled in this game and use that on Thursday when they play a team that they destroyed the last time they played without, Dave and CJ and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully this win gives them a little confidence moving forward. But I'm glad they got the win, of course.
Yep. Give us your thoughts on the defense in chat. I will tune in with chat in a second. I just got these graphics ready to go for you guys.
Shout out to Dro for the $2 donation. He says, "Bet we won't hold the team under 100 again." LOL.
I mean, I'm not going to go. I mean, we've done it 3 times in 23 games. It's likely to happen again. It's not going to be something common, but I wouldn't. I'll bet you. That they do it at least once more this season. Probably once more in this half of the season, the first half of the season. I would be comfortable putting money on the line for that one. But overall, yeah, this is a little bit more rare than it should be.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. We have. This is the frustrating part. I feel like we have personnel, if they were in the right scheme and played the right way, to consistently, maybe not under 100, but the lower hundreds, and not give up 120 points to mediocre offenses. But yeah, I think. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't bet against them holding a team under 100 when they've already done it 3 times in 23 games, like you said. Yeah. Just looking at chat. No, why would we go?
No to Aaron Gordon for the millionth time. I don't understand why we'd need Vucevic when we have Nurkic. I've seen his name tossed out a lot. Yeah, no.
Reese.
No thanks. But yeah, Reese loves himself some Vucevic. Overall defense, there was nothing spectacular. See, that's where we kind of struggle on post-game shows. When it's like a team that is bad, we don't do anything spectacular or noteworthy defensively, but we take care of business and play decent defense and hold them under 100 points. You know what I mean? There's not really much to say on it. That is kind of that's the downfall of playing bad teams. It's nice to get a relaxing win, but afterwards, man, it's something where it's just there's not much to say. I don't know. That's kind of the feeling I have from this one.
Yeah, I mean, it was just kind of blah when we get the win. Didn't particularly look impressive. Didn't look. I mean, at least we showed up and didn't lose this game as well. So yeah, it's just kind of like you said, not a whole lot to like critique or break down because there was definitely some breakdowns on defense, but like overall, it didn't really hurt us that much like it does normally against teams that actually have good personnel. I mean, they got to the rim a few times, but yeah, I mean, with the way this team plays defense, I'll take this kind of performance every time.
100%. So that's why I asked you guys to give your thoughts in the comment section below. Eric, if you see anything noteworthy, you can read it off. Let me fix. I'm being OCD about the blue behind the Magic. It doesn't match as well as it should. So I dimmed it a little bit there. That looks better. Yeah.
We'll have a defensive challenge on Thursday. Yep, especially if Simmons and Embiid both play. Yeah, Ross did go off. I thought that was interesting that with like 6 minutes left, Clifford took him out of the game. He was like at that point one of the only people that was like creating offense other than Vucevic. So thank you for that. But yes, I don't know. I don't feel like I don't. It's kind of weird because when the team's best player and like only good offensive player for most of the game is like a lumbering center who can step out and hit threes and stuff like that. It's like you got to stay attached to him. So our rim protection wasn't great, but other than Ross, they didn't really get to the rim, so it didn't hurt us at all. It's just their personnel played right into our hands of all our strengths on defense and basically none of our weaknesses. Glad they didn't play poorly. Even with that, if we would have been talking about the Magic like having to outscore them like 120 to 118 or something like that to win this game, then be a lot more ranting right now. But yeah,
I mean,
they did a fine job.
You don't want to have to win games like the second game we played against the Bulls. You don't want to have to win games like that. It's exciting, sure, right? But you don't want to have to try and rely on beating teams off miracle shots and like Dame going hero mode, especially when the team is inferior to yours. So it's nice to take care of business. Offensively, I thought the Blazers, I don't know, there's nothing spectacular about them offensively either. They didn't really, I don't know, I wouldn't say the ball movement was great. They had some guys hit some shots. Carmelo had a decent night. Dame hit some shots. Other than that, nobody was really notable. Gary Trent Jr. had 15, but was shot 33% from the field, as well as the three-point line. Anthony Simons was 4 for 11, so you're not talking about efficient nights here. Overall, the Blazers only shot 39% from the field and 39% from three. That's a good three-point shooting night, but you're talking about them shooting about 39% inside the arc too, which is not good. And you have three players on this team that are shooting a higher percentage from three than they are from two. So the Blazers weren't really able to get good looks other than threes. But at least they knocked down their threes, and they knocked down their free throws too. They were 18 for 19 from the free throw line. So that was the differential. Honestly, you look at the Magic, they were 12 for 22 from the free throw line. We were 18 for 19. So if the Magic shoot free throws as well as we did, you're talking about this being a last possession game. Honestly, you can look at the free throw differential, and that's the difference maker right there, them going 12 for 22 and us going 18 for 19.
And the Magic are 80% free throw shooting team. They're one of the best free throw shooting teams in the league. So we got kind of lucky in that regard. Like you said, they hit, their normal percentage, and they're right in this game, and that's kind of scary to think about.
Yeah, I mean, if they, I like looking at it like this. If they shot the same percentage from the free throw line as we did, because we shot better from the free throw line than we normally do. If they shot the same percentage as we did, it would have been a tie game. Right? We were 18 for 19. They shot 22 free throws. If they made 21 of them instead of 12, it's a tie game, right? So you can point to the free throw line as kind of the differential in this game. Who knows? If they knock down free throws and we miss a couple more, we might be talking about how we, underachieved this game. Like, that's why there's really not much positive things to say. It's nice that they knocked down their free throws, but I didn't see anything tonight that had me like, yeah, this is what we need to see more of, so to say.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
So, I'm sure people will disagree with that, but I don't know. And you guys can fill in the gaps in chat. We're going to engage with chat more tonight than probably any post-game stream we've done so far this year.
There's two people, one not in this chat and one in this chat, that are talking about, see, only 18 assists and we dominated the Magic. Like, no, the ball movement was not that good. We just had
a poor offensive night.
Some of our ISO shooters got really hot, and that is pretty much our whole offense.
We didn't have a good offensive game. We had a below-average offensive game. Despite shooting 39% from 3 and 18 for 19 from the free throw line, we only scored 106 on a very depleted Orlando Magic team, right? So acting like, oh, well, we only had 18 assists and look how good our offense did, as if that proves something, as if our offense did good tonight, is just super flawed on multiple levels. It's rough. I don't know how you can look at this game and say, oh, our offense did good. And I'm so tired of people using anecdotal evidence where they point to one game and like one specific score and like correlate that to assists and then correlate that to ball movement in general and then try and make the point that ball movement doesn't matter. It could hurt the team it's such flawed thinking, and it's pointless to even argue. I'm tired of arguing such silly straw man arguments like that, man. It's not only does it not make any sense, it's somebody just, to me, it's just people being disingenuous, making an argument just to make an argument to try and just stick to their point and stick to their, stick to what they're saying before and trying to back it up with stuff that just doesn't make sense. I don't know. It gets me ranting. It gets me annoyed. It's silly.
Yep. And I'm telling you right now, Tori and I have been right on this in the past. It does not work in the playoffs playing this way. It does not work. Like, so
you gotta move the ball.
You can win games. You can occasionally win a series if someone gets hot, like we had tonight. But
gotta move the ball better in the playoffs.
Yep.
So that's just the way things are. I can't believe that people are out there trying to argue that ball movement hurts teams. I can't believe that's an actual argument. That's just, I can't take anybody seriously if they actually believe that. Shout out Near 012, $20 dono. He says, have to work in the AM, but I will say injuries have been a blessing in disguise for Ant and Little when Little can play, as well as Rocco. More players are able to play meaningful minutes and be a part of the offense. I agree in regards to Ant for sure. He's shooting the 3 ball really well right now. Needs to continue to try and round out other areas of his game. Nas, we saw that 30-point performance. It sucks that he got hurt because I was very curious as to how he would follow that up, if he would, show consistency in that regard. So I'm not really saying, it's a blessing in disguise for Nas just because of like one game. He's only had one meaningful game. So, but yeah, there's definitely silver linings to it. I agree with it, and I appreciate you donating, man. Have a good rest of your night, Near Zero.
Yeah, and like just Trent getting to start and play a much more significant role. I think that'll help him once it's a little easier and he's having to do a little less on offense. I think then he'll, when he goes back to just being able to shoot threes and be a secondary part of the offense versus having to create shots and stuff like that, I think it'll be a little easier for him, and this time playing will be beneficial for someone like that.
Yeah. You got Brooks Cooper saying, Tori, you are literally the pot calling the kettle black. It's so funny you can't see that. In regards to what, my guy? And then he says, you were for Giles after 2 preseason games. Giles, I still like his talent. I've always liked Giles' talent. What's your point? Yeah, I love how you get random people that have never commented in before and they come in just to say, you like Giles in the preseason, so you're wrong and you can't say that. I don't know. I don't even know what he's trying to say. I'm trying to piece it together. I don't even know what he's trying to say. But y'all should chill. Y'all should, if y'all don't like people's takes, y'all should just block them. Honestly, I think can you hide people? Like we have a different like interface since we're I run the channel, we're mods. But if you're in chat, can't you block other people? I don't know why you guys don't just hide certain people's comments if you can. That really bother you because every night, man, chat is just at war with itself. The arguments are fun to watch. No, don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? But
all right, Shay Guile, Breezy. Okay, so in the playoffs, everyone just stand there and watch Dame dribble the ball and CJ take turns going one-on-one. Let's see how that works.
Why do we even pass the ball in the first place, right? It risks a turnover, so we should just we should throw it in, right? Too bad we can't run it in because, you might turn over if you throw it in. But you should just throw it in and then never pass so that we get the least amount of turnovers as possible, and that way we will win a championship. Right? That's people's argument, man. It's crazy to me. Yes, you're probably going to turn over the ball a little bit more if you move the ball better, but the gains far outweigh the negative aspect of, risking a couple more turnovers, right? It's the whole argument is just so flawed.
The teams that win championship utilize both passing and player movement off the ball. Reese posted a really cool graphic that actually broke down. I wish he could post it in here, but it was basically like one side of it was player movement and one side was passing, and it was like passes per game and like I forgot what the metric was for player movement, but it was like the amount of times they ran or the amount of miles they ran per possession or something like that. And it was interesting. Most of the good offenses feature, a decent amount of both. So it's not like the good offenses don't have like all passing and no ball movement or no player movement. And the bad offenses don't usually have like all player movement and no ball movement. So as long as you have a good mix of both of those things, you can be a good team, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not saying they need to pass the ball 20 times a possession. Like, you got to have productive movement and productive passes, right? Like, you can turn over the ball going one-on-one too. And you can try and go one-on-one, and you can get caught in a position and then trying to pass out of it, and you're not in a good position, and you turn over the ball. There's so many ways turnovers can happen. It's kind of ridiculous to me that people correlate ball movement to automatically having more turnovers, because there's other ways you can get them. It's not a clean correlation, and ball movement can get you a lot easier shots. You know what I mean? I'll take 3 more assists this game if we shoot 50% inside the arc instead of 40. You know what I mean? Like tonight, I'll do some math, right? And here's the thing. That's only making 1 out of every 10 shots you miss inside the arc. Maybe you make it because instead of, driving one-on-one against a set defense and driving into traffic and trying to flip something up, you have guys cutting and you're hitting them while they're cutting to the rim and the defense isn't set and they're able to get easier buckets inside that way, right? So tonight we were 17 for 44 inside the arc, right? If we go 22 for 44, we score 10 more points, right? I would take 3 more turnovers for 10 more points. 1,000%. Like, it's not even, we likely wouldn't even get 3 more turnovers moving the ball well. Like, you don't see a very high correlation between turning the ball over and the teams that rack up a lot of assists, right? So there's a lot of statistical stuff we could go into it. It's just a very flawed argument, and teams have won championships and made runs moving the ball well. You look at Miami last year. If they run an ISO-heavy offense, they lose in the first round, probably. And they swept the Pacers. They probably lose in the first round, though. They're definitely not beating the Bucks, right? You look at Golden State's offense. If they ran an ISO-heavy offense, they would not have been anywhere near as good as they were. So yeah, I mean, the whole argument's flawed. I don't want to spend any more time on it. It's just a very silly argument to me, and there's a lot of stuff that can weigh against it. And you can be a good regular season offense while running iso ball and not moving the ball too well. The problem is it's really easy to defend in the playoffs when you're allowed to be more physical and you can game plan for it, like game in, game out. You play the same team up to 7 times in a row. It doesn't work in the playoffs. It can work in the regular season, and people point to regular season rankings offensively, but in the playoffs it doesn't translate. And Eric's made that point a million times, and people continue to ignore that when they're making the argument.
Yep. It's just so frustrating. Oh, they're fourth in the league. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean we've literally said that a million times that it can be okay in the regular season, but you got people in chat that love to argue against what we say, but don't actually listen to what we say. So it gets old. This is
what else is dumb too. I want Dame shooting threes. No crap, dude. Like, do you really think we do not want Dame to shoot threes? Is that your actual argument, Portlandia? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. We want Dame to shoot threes. We want him to shoot open threes, not contested pull-up with 2 guys on him and shooting like 37-foot threes all game. Like, that's so dumb. Like,
yeah, congrats, Portlandia. You've officially got on Eric's nerves, and yeah, that's okay. We're not even talking about this game anymore. This is just based off basketball arguments. This is for NBA Twitter. This is for everyone, man. Like, quit trying to... I hate when people are arguing against people and they try and put words in their mouth. And they try and basically tie something to their argument that makes it bad. The perfect example of that is, oh, you guys want more ball movement? Well, I want Dame shooting threes. Nobody ever said they don't want Dame shooting threes, bro. Like, that point, I hate when people do that. It's like, it's disingenuous arguments. Listen to who you're talking to, or nobody's going to take you seriously. Listen to who you're talking to. And if you don't listen to people while you basically act like you're right about everything, like, people aren't going to take you seriously, and people aren't going to respect your opinion, right? Like, we're listening to everything you're saying. We're reading off, responding to it. Probably shouldn't be, but we are, and we listen and we out-argue everything, right? But you just have people out here that have their point and don't even want to have a two-way conversation. They just want to argue their point no matter what's said against them, and they're completely disingenuous about it. And it's frustrating, man. Don't be disingenuous. Don't argue disingenuously. I don't like that, man. You have a lot of it on Twitter, a lot of it in this fan base from the Pinwheel Empire side of Twitter and whatnot. Like, have a basketball conversation. That's what we're here for. Basketball conversations. Don't sit in here and be disingenuous and try and make the argument like we ever said Dame shouldn't shoot threes or whatever, because that's just going to annoy us, and that's just going to devolve it into what it is right now. All right. And so
the other thing is too, I mean, nowhere have you and I said the Blazers they suck if they do not lead the league in assists. They need to pass the Hornets and be the #1 assist team in the league, or they are never going to win.
That's such a disingenuous argument. You know what I mean? It's like they can't argue the substance. They have to try and make it sound ridiculous, so they'll say random stuff, and is completely disingenuous.
There's such a difference between saying you need more passing, better ball movement, more player movement, and saying like someone needs to be like better than the Charlotte Hornets and lead the league in assists. I just don't want to be last in assists. Be middle of the road. Same with the
move
defense.
The ball better. And it's not even necessarily... I'm not even making the argument that it would necessarily make us all that much better in the regular season. It would make us a ton better in the postseason, right? We go from being like a top 5 offense out of 30 teams in the regular season, only behind 4 teams or so. And then the playoffs were like 12th out of 16. And we're behind 11 teams. How do we go from behind 4 teams to behind 11 teams once the playoffs roll around? Because our style of offense doesn't translate well to the playoffs, while other teams' styles of offense, teams that move the ball, translates to offense, or translates to the playoffs. So that's our entire point, man. You can't... Teams are just... Here's what happens. If we... And this is what has happened, right? If we continue to isolate Dame and rely heavily on isolation and pick and roll and don't really have a counter for it, don't really know how to move the ball consistently or move the ball well, then what's going to happen in the playoffs? Dame's going to get trapped hard. The refs don't call as many fouls, so teams are going to be able to be a little bit more physical with that trap and play up on Dame a little bit heavier and kind of bump him a little bit more, which makes it harder for Dame to split the trap or break out of the trap. And we're going to struggle in the playoffs. And that's what happens every single year. And if we move the ball better, if we use Dame off the ball better, where we didn't have to get him going running off screens into a trap, if we, knew how to pass better because we were used to moving the ball, then maybe we could exploit the trap behind it. Like, there's so many reasons why we should try and move the ball more, and anybody arguing against that is just absolutely ridiculous. And it's not as simple as, part of it is our setup against the trap is kind of crap. But yeah, Portlandia, this is the last time I'm going to reference anything you're saying. You oversimplify so many things, and that last comment is just such an oversimplification of what happens, right? If it was that simple, then why do we struggle with the trap every single year? You know what I mean? That's the whole thing with like your argument is just like, in theory, sure, but we're talking about what happens on the basketball court, not theories here.
And here's a perfect example. Game 1 against the Lakers, we actually ran Dame off ball a little bit. And it was so simple. We just ran him down the middle of the key, come off a screen, off a Nurkic, pops out, first time, open three. Because Lakers have never seen us do that, right? And then next time they tried it, both guys go with Dame out there. They pass to Nurk, he drives to the hoop, gets fouled, and gets 2 free throws, right?
Yep, that first quarter of game 1.
Don't see it again. Don't see it again the rest of the series.
The rest of the game, we only did that in the first quarter game 1, and then we regressed, right? The first quarter game 1, we had, 36 points? Mm-hmm. We were up, 18 or something. We were up big, right? Dame was getting easy shots, and then, once he got a couple easy shots, the defense paid more attention to him, and it opened up cuts for other guys to get easy buckets. Dude, it's literally that simple. It is literally that simple. And you saw the difference last season in the first quarter of game 1 when we moved the ball well and we used Dame off the ball and scored 36 points or around that, total in that first quarter. And then the rest of the series where we couldn't get anything going offensively, right? And everybody's saying, well, it's the best defense in the league. Well, look at the first quarter of game 1 against the best defense in the league. Mm-hmm. Our style of offense
throw something different at him.
Got us great looks against the best defense in the league because of the style of offense we were running.
There was a game earlier in the bubble too, and once again, first quarter we run. Basically, it was have Melo in the corner. Dame would go out and set a pick for him. Melo would curl to the middle of the key, and same thing. One time he got a wide open lane, the other time he got fouled and got 2 free throws. I haven't seen that play since the bubble. Since that one game. I think that was the first game maybe even against Memphis. And it's little stuff like that would help so much. It's not necessarily you have to make 75 passes in 5 possessions or whatever to be good. You just have to do little stuff. It's a combination because getting a guy open like that and a pass, that leads to it might not always lead to an assist, but it leads to a good shot, a better shot than just posting up Melo and letting him shoot a turnaround or something like that. But do we do that now? We haven't done that all year. We have not done anything to get these guys in the best position to get shots. Like Reese was saying earlier in chat, Orlando was constantly, they'd have Vucevic on the opposite side on the baseline, and they just set a pick for him, and he'd come across to the opposite block, and he'd get the ball 10 feet from the hoop, whereas we're posting people 12 to 15 feet away from the hoop. It's just such little things that lead to easier shots, and it's all about movement and doing things off ball. But instead, most of the time, we're just standing around at the three-point line or doing anything. Yep.
I just looked up a box score. Our biggest lead was 16. You have Block Boy in here saying, Tori's exaggerating. I don't recall us being up 18. Yeah, sorry, it was 16, bro. Very, very nitpicky with that one. Yeah, we were up 16 in that first quarter because of the style of offense. But this wasn't even supposed to be a negative post-game show. We are completely derailed. See, people are like, engage with chat more. Well, this is us just completely engaging with chat instead of doing what we normally do. And we are talking about, we're doing basically a post-game show for a game that happened half a year ago instead of this one. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Let's get to individual players because I want to talk about Melo and some other players.
Yeah. All right. And stop throwing insults in chat, or you will be hidden.
And nice that you. I know you couldn't show up, but at least you could acknowledge that we played like crap at New York and completely messed that game up. I've noticed that you haven't said a word about that game and want to move on to this victory instead.
Yeah.
After you like guaranteed we'd win that game.
Yeah. Portlandia, I think you're too soft on the team, bro. That's our difference in opinion. You're way too soft. But your arguments are disingenuous and mine are backed up by facts. Let's move on to players here. All right, let's go to Manuel. All right. First guy we got is Dame Lillard. 36 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 9 for 22 from the field, 5 for 10 from the three-point line. Good three-point shooting night. Maybe a season low in terms of assists. It's kind of weird to see him with 2 assists. When I was making, I didn't even realize he only had a couple assists. But until I was making the graphics, I was surprised. It was weird to put 2 next to the assist there. But overall, solid game, solid scoring night. He's like neck and neck with Steph Curry for second in the league in points per game scoring, I think. Assuming Twitter didn't lie to me, which it probably did. Solid game from him. Nice to see him looking good. We already talked about him a little bit. What do you want to say about them?
Yeah, he struggled inside the arc a little bit, but always nice to see him when he's hitting threes. He got off to a bit of a slow start. I was a little worried that maybe that injury was still bothering him, but he definitely came out firing in the third quarter. They got 18 points in the quarter. Real nice quarter from him there. And, helped us keep that lead in the third. And then we had some other players that helped us after that point. Solid game from Dame. Once again, it's weird talking about like just an average game or whatever when he scores 36 points, but that's kind of what we come to expect from Dame.
Yeah. Typical solid Dame game. Let's move on and talk about the next guy we got, who is Carmelo Anthony. He passed Oscar Robertson for 12th on the all-time scoring list tonight. Had a good scoring night. Was 5 for 9 from the three-point line. That's where he excelled, scoring the basketball tonight. He was 2 for 7 inside the arc, which is very inefficient. Overall, decently efficient night, though. Really good from the three-point line. Not good inside the arc. And that kind of just continues the trend where he is shooting a better percentage. Actually, no, he's not one of those guys, but he's been close this season.
He was until recently.
Yeah. And that's because his 3-point percentage dropped. Yeah, it's I don't know. I want to move away. It's just, bro, this is exactly what I've been saying about Carmelo Anthony. He, at this point in his career, needs to be a spot-up three-point shooter. Was good spotting up from the three-point line tonight. Wasn't so good inside the arc. But overall, a good scoring game because he knocked down threes. That simple.
Yeah, so what I liked is, because he can draw fouls, and I like that a lot of his points in the when he got hot there was that he was like pump faking and trying to get fouls. He wasn't trying to take like a mid-range shot. He was like actually trying to draw a foul. And he's a good enough free throw shooter to where I like that mindset. Like draw contact, get to the line. And I think that's a way to really improve his efficiency if he looks for that a little more often, because he's got the body to like absorb contact and still get shots off too. So like he might get some and ones and stuff like that if he continues to do that. So
I'm down to post him up if he never shoots a turnaround and only pump fakes his turnaround, and then if he doesn't get the guy in the air and draw the foul, kick him out.
Yeah, yep. That's
I guess
in a perfect world, he would do that, and he would knock down open threes when he got that opportunity, right?
Yeah.
And so I thought tonight was like the closest to okay usage of him, and the results were good, obviously. But I still want to see more like cross screens and like the screen I was talking about where you get him rolling to the basket instead of just like straight post up and throwing it into him. But other than that, I thought I liked the way he shot the open three tonight and attacked and tried to draw fouls.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say he gets to the line a lot.
No, he doesn't get to the line a lot. I'm saying he can if he had that mindset, like draw fouls. He's got the body type to like, get contact and do that. And his pump fake, I mean, people fall for it still, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Overall, just, I don't know. Like, it's funny how you'll have Melo fans out there that every time Melo has a good game, they act like he's having a great season, and they extrapolate it out. Like, overall, he's not been shooting well this season from pretty much any area of the floor. Other than the free throw line, he is knocking down 86% of his free throws, which is good to see. That's the one part of his game that is efficient so far this season. But like nobody ever says he can't have an efficient night from 2 or an efficient night from 3. Nobody's ever said that. Don't be going back to what I said earlier about making arguments where you're just putting words into people's mouths that they never said, where you're arguing against things that were never said. Nobody ever said Carmelo can't have a night like this. He definitely can have a night like this. The problem is he needs to have a night like this more consistently. He would be shooting better than 34% from 3 going into this game if he had this type of game more consistently so far this season. So that's the thing with me is, I don't think he'll ever be consistent enough posting up or facing up in the mid-range area to justify the amount of looks he gets from there. I don't think that'll ever be a positive enough play. So at this point, I think he needs to be used as a spot-up three-point shooter. And then if he gets ran off the line, maybe he can take a couple dribbles in and shoot that mid-range pull-up. I think he shoots... I would bet he shoots a higher percentage on taking 2 dribbles from the three-point line and pulling up than he shoots fading away on turnaround fadeaways out of the post. Just from the eye test, I think that, if he gets ran off the three-point line and shoots mid-range that way, it's better than posting him up and him turning around fading away. And common sense would tell you that too. If you're stepping into a shot already facing the rim, it's easier than if you're turning around and falling backwards while you're shooting the ball. So overall, it's a solid game from Melo. 3 blocks as well. Good number to see.
Yeah, I don't know if this is just like a coincidence or not, but I felt like this was the first time, maybe since Melo's been a Blazer, that the other team didn't really respect him at all, and they actually weren't like focusing much on him on defense. So that definitely helps. If Carmelo's left open for 3 and stuff, I have a lot more confidence than when teams are actually like, oh no, we got to double team Melo every time he touches the ball and stuff like that. I felt like they were kind of daring him to shoot a little bit, and I definitely think Melo can handle that if they're just gonna like let him shoot open threes and stuff.
Yeah, bro. Oh my goodness. So earlier I did say that Dame was 4 for 12 inside the damn arc. But you got Block Boy saying, see, you never say anything about Dame being 4 for 12 inside the arc. Yes, I did. The thing is, though, Dame shoots 54% inside the arc while Carmelo shoots 39%. 15 percentage point difference. So, yeah, I'm a lot more willing to give Dame a pass for having a tough night shooting inside the arc because normally he doesn't have them, whereas Melo consistently has them. That's the difference in 54% and 39%.
We both mentioned that with Dame.
God,
I don't know
man.
what he's talking about.
It's just so nitpicky, man. He nitpicked they went down. They weren't up 18. No, it was 16. And then now he's, God, not even listening to what I'm saying, apparently. It's so annoying.
We both said Dame struggled inside the arc. We both pointed it out. I don't know why you're trying to say we did.
If you don't see the difference between 54 and 39, I don't know what to tell you, man. But yeah, if Melo shot 54% inside the arc, I wouldn't complain about a night where he's 2 for 7 inside the arc. You know what I mean? I'd be like, oh, he didn't shoot well, but normally he does. He's efficient inside the arc, so, I'm cool with the shots he took tonight. The problem is he's not efficient. 54% compared to 39%. It's that simple, right? My goodness. Let's move on. This is I don't think if we're gonna have anybody coming in.
Mo had a really good game.
I don't think we're gonna have anybody coming in anymore and say engage with chat more. So apologies to those of you who might be watching this back after the fact or whatnot. They probably already tuned out at this point. But let's move on. Let's talk Gary Trent Jr. 15 points, 6 assists. Probably a season high for him. 4 rebounds, 6 for 18 from the field, 3 for 9 from the 3-point line. Here's another guy who's not efficient inside the arc, and I pointed out pretty consistently, don't I? I said that's the one area he needs to improve. He needs to maybe not force as many shots inside the arc. And here you are tonight with him shooting 3 for 9 from the 3-point line, which is okay, 33.3%. Yeah, that's a little bit below average, but he's a 45% three-point shooter. No problem with that shot selection, because normally he knocks down a very high percentage of threes. He did start off hot, 3 for 3 from 3. One of them was a bank shot, so a little bit lucky on that one. Ended 0 for 6, so he really struggled with his shot to end the game. Inside the arc, 3 for 9, that's very inefficient. He needs to, that's the one part of his game that I continuously say needs to grow and needs to improve. And it will help complete him as a scorer. So, people will try and say, oh, you only talk about Melo inside the arc. No, I talk about everybody, and that's one area where Gary Trent Jr. struggles in and needs to improve. Overall, though, I mean, he made plays for other players. I don't even really remember any of his assists. Do any of his assists stand out to you? And what do you think about just kind of his scoring package and, how inefficient he is inside the arc compared to outside the arc?
I know he banked in his first 3 too, so if that doesn't go in, that's even worse. But yeah, he's. I feel like a part of this is not having CJ, so he's got to do this more often. But I feel like the times he struggles is when he over dribbles, and you can tell he's not. Like you said, it was kind of surprising that he had 6 assists tonight, because if you didn't look at the box score, there's no way you would have guessed that. But a lot of those are just on making the extra pass around the perimeter. But he's fine in that regard. But the times where he gets the ball and he's just dribble, and then forces a shot, that's not good offense, and he really struggles. I would guarantee that his percentages are pretty low in those scenarios.
Yeah, and that's, he's still young, so he's still going to improve, and I expect that to improve in the future. If he ever wants to become like a truly legit, very high-level scorer, he's going to need to improve that part of his game. Right now, he's a very high-level shooter. He's shooting 43% from the 3-point line. He's one of the guys that's shooting a higher percentage from 3 than he is from 2. But, it's nice to see him have 6 assists. And guess what, Eric? 6 assists. Guess how many turnovers he had? 0. Interesting. I thought it correlated perfectly. Shout out.
He shouldn't pass the ball anymore, man. He's gonna get a turnover eventually.
Oh my goodness. Shout out to Najib. I probably butchered your name. I apologize, but I appreciate the $5 donation. The comment says, I agree. I watched another team like the Jazz, and you notice how bad we play as a team. We need to change. Coach, if I saw Stotts in the street, it would be bad. I wouldn't even say anything to him, man. It's not a personal thing. Yeah.
Your overall point is good.
But I agree with your point. I think some people need to watch other NBA teams and see how they, play as a team. And I mean, watch the Jazz, right? Because you look at the Jazz, their roster, I don't think it's better than ours when ours is healthy, but their style of play, right? And the way they defend. And the different things they do defensively that we could potentially do, but we don't. Watch it and compare it to us. That's your guys' homework for the next week. Yes, I'm giving you homework. Teacher Tory class is in session. But the Jazz, are they still first in the West right now?
I believe so.
I mean, granted, if they had the injury issues we did, they would be, worse. But overall, you look at them. They're 20-5. They're 20-5. They're a game ahead of the Lakers, 3 games ahead of the Clippers. They're 20-5. The Utah freaking Jazz. They're Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert. Donovan Mitchell isn't even having a good season. By his standards. I think he's a little bit worse than last season. Their best player this year has probably been Rudy Gobert, and they're 20-5. How does that happen? Right? If we had that personnel, under Terry Stotts, I have a feeling people would say, well, you expect this team to win 80% of their games? Like, no way. The roster is not good enough. Like, they're a 500 roster. I feel like that's what would be said if we had the Jazz's roster, because their roster, honestly, is not more impressive than ours. And if we were made healthy, we had already had more than 5 losses while healthy, correct? We already had 6-7 losses when we lost Nurk. So, it's just crazy to compare and contrast those two teams.
For the record, Conley's been playing really well, and Mitchell's actually
he's picked it back up. He was struggling about a week and a half ago. I hadn't checked his performances since then. He had 36 in their previous game. I don't know if that was tonight or the night before, but I just saw the headline for it. So, he's picked it back up. But overall, they were winning. They were on a huge win streak over a stretch where he's not even playing well offensively. Like, he's super inefficient. They're still winning games. They're winning games with their defense. They are really good on both sides of the ball, and that's what I was hoping for us this year. It's like you look at this roster, it's like, dang, we could be really good on both sides of the ball, and I still think we can be really good on both sides of the ball if we figure things out. I'm still very high on our roster. I think a lot of people that defend Stotts underrate our roster. I still really like our roster. Got to figure some things out. Appreciate the donation. It's interesting to compare and contrast us to the Jazz, and hopefully we can play like they are now later in the season when we get guys healthier. So anything left to say on Trent, or do you want to move on?
So I saw a stat that I forgot what metric it was. Reese could probably help with this, but that Trent actually graded out as the worst defender in the league so far this year. No. Yeah. It's a little hard to notice or to tell based on individual stats. He definitely hasn't had a lot of signature moments like he had in the bubble last year. It was just defensive rating. So yeah, it's not necessarily the best statistic.
Defensive rating is terrible to use for individual players for the most part. Like it's better to maybe honestly it's better to use on-off numbers than defensive rating and whatnot.
But most of Trent's advanced defensive stats are pretty bad. But like I said, it's hard to
very
I don't know. Defensive stats are a trouble. But at the same time, our team is also very bad overall in defense. But there was a play tonight where he tried to pack it and he got the ball knocked loose. And he literally just stood there and didn't get back on defense. And by the time he got back, that was the play where Orlando got 4 offensive rebounds and eventually laid it in. And it's stuff like that you have to cut out of your game. You cannot let an offensive mistake turn into a bucket on the other end by sulking or being lazy and stuff like that. So he's got to cut that stuff out of his game. And I know that's something when he watches films, he's going to kick himself over, and hopefully he knocks that stuff out. But we need everyone to get back as quickly as possible on defense. You can't let anything that happens on the offensive end affect the defensive end.
You've been hidden. Done with that, and especially with what you just said. Here's the thing. Dude hustled his ass off last year, right? It's almost like we get guys that will play hard and they gradually stop playing hard. I don't know. I can't even point to anybody else in that regard, so maybe it's just Gary Trent Jr., but it's you see Nas, he goes out there, he plays hard. CJ Ellaby, he goes out there and he plays hard. And maybe it's just, once guys make it in the league, they don't feel the need to really bust their ass like they do when they're trying to make it. That definitely could be the case, but it's I fully expect Nas, once he becomes consistent on this team, and after a couple years to not hustle as hard as he does now. Same thing if CJ Ellaby ever gets a consistent role. I don't like that, man. That sucks. He's not playing with the same level of energy that he did last year, and I kind of miss it, and maybe it's a not having fans thing or something, but he busted his ass in the bubble, so I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah, he's definitely got to, because that's funny because like a lot of the same metrics grade CJ out fairly decently on defense this year, and so like all those people are like, oh, we have to trade CJ and start Trent if we want our defense to ever be okay. Like that's not necessarily the way it's been playing out. We're winning a lot of games because of offense, just like we would with CJ, not necessarily because we're shutting stuff down on defense.
Yep. So let's move on and talk about the next player. You had Anthony, 11 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 for 11 from the field, 3 for 8 from the 3-point line. Hit some tough threes, and I'm enjoying his shot making ability off the dribble from 3. Overall, 1 for 3 inside the arc, 3 for 8 from the 3-point line. Not the most efficient night, but he definitely hit some big time shots, hit some difficult shots as well. Didn't necessarily get the easiest shots. Yeah, overall, okay game from Anthony. I feel like refs hate him too. He gets so many bad foul calls against him on good defensive plays. Where like if he had the Marcus Smart reputation, some of these things would never get called. But hopefully he can get a little bit more respect from the refs as his career goes on.
Yeah, I feel like if he just used his body a little better instead of like going into the body of the shooter, like just uses athleticism to contest the shot once it leaves the shooter's hand instead of trying to get it while he's still shooting it. I think he would cut down a lot of his fouls. Also, like biting at pump fakes, he's got to learn how to not do that. But I mean, the difference between him of the last 2 years, where he was constantly trailing his guy, couldn't keep him in front of him, all that kind of stuff. That was. It's nice to see that he's actually, getting better and improving on that end. And that's the way to stay in the rotation, is if you can make a difference on defense. And someone that only played a couple minutes this game, but we'll talk about it in a minute. I also feel the same way about. But yeah, it's good when he's hitting the 3. Unfortunately, he hit 3 in a row and then he missed all the ones outside of those 3 in a row. Mm-hmm. So it'd be nice to see him be a little more consistent on that end. And then hopefully his hamstring heals to the point where he's not on a minutes restriction anymore. But I've really liked overall just seeing Simons kind of, I wouldn't say he's blossoming yet or like excelling or anything like that. Those are the wrong terminology. I just feel like he's going from someone that people were like writing off to someone who's actually going to be a factor on this team moving forward. Yeah,
it's just nice to see growth, and it's nice to see him play with more confidence. It seems like he's playing with total confidence now. Even if his shot isn't falling, he shoots every shot confidently now. It just like Dame does, just like CJ does. So it's encouraging to see that. And then defensively, it's I think he has the potential to be a decent defender at least. So I've seen some encouraging signs, and I'm comfortable with him in the game now. Last season when he came in the game, I was like, bro, there's like stretches where he literally he couldn't make a 3, even if it was catch and shoot wide open. Like he was just broke. Like now he had some stretches where he shot the ball decently, and that's why he was able to shoot 33% from 3 last year. Yeah. But there was just stretches where like you knew he wasn't gonna make a shot. Like he had some really bad shooting stretches, and now it's like you look at a couple of the threes he hit today, like off the dribble, super quick, contested, hand in his face. You know what I mean? Like he's hitting threes that are difficult now. And now when he gets open threes, I have confidence in him knocking it down. So, the signs that he's shown have been very encouraging.
Yeah, I agree.
Moving on to the next guy. We got Robert Covington. 5 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 for 6 from the field, 1 for 5 from the 3-point line. Shot still looks weird, but he's still making an impact. This is kind of your typical Robert Covington game. I mean, he's had a few games with like 4 assists so far this year. It's... He's underrated from a passing perspective. He's not going to make plays off the dribble. He's not going to make plays for others that way. But just like making the extra pass and making the right pass and shooting the right shots, it's still something that I think is very underrated. And he had a good shooting night like a couple of games ago. I think it was like 3-4 games ago. I want to see that consistently. he's doing something weird with his release where he's like, I don't know. Okay, theory time. All right. On his release, it seems like he's like pushing his fingers forward, then like pushing them down after he's already followed through.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
That's like a little over exaggerated, but it's like he's not following through with his fingers through the ball. It's like he's pushing it, and then he's like trying to follow through with his fingers, but it's like after he already pushed the ball off. So it's not like smooth, you know? It's not like he's pushing it through in one motion. It's kind of weird.
He also, when he catches the ball, it's like he's a receiver and he pulls it into his body and then pulls it up, and then it's like curl, like you said, and then he's like short arming it. And yeah, I don't know.
That could be an issue. It looks kind of what he did last year. You know, the one part that I noticed looked different is just the release with his hand. So it could be something where like mentally he's trying to follow through with his fingers, but he has a weird hitch, and that's why you see him like force his fingers down after the ball comes off his hand, but it's not like as a part of the release. It's like after the release, so he's still pushing the ball. Yeah, there's just something weird with his jump shot that I hope he's able to fix it at some point. Yeah, I don't know, but he's the type of guy that does a bunch of little things, and you know, outside of shooting the ball, everybody wants to look at shooting numbers. Every other aspect of the game, he makes a positive impact, and so overall tonight, you know, I have no problems.
This is why, like, I'm so in favor of like player movement off ball and more structured offense. I feel like if you have a play that's designed for him to get an open three or come off a screen or something, it like you're thinking, okay, I'm going to catch this and shoot the ball. Whereas if you're just standing on the 3-point line waiting for Dame to do something and sometimes he kicks out to you or whatever, sure, like sometimes you're open and you can shoot it confidently, but like, I don't know. I just like the idea of getting everyone involved, making everyone feel like they're part of the offense. They just need to do something to get him maybe going. So maybe like make him a focal point for a couple of plays off the bat for a game and see if you can get him jump started or something. Because the shooting numbers are going to have to improve at some point. And if we get those to improve or even, you know, go up to his normal shooting numbers, I mean, this team could be potentially really dangerous. So, like, that's why I'm not willing to, like, write him off or, like, say, like, this is going to cost us at some point. But the upside of if he does start hitting shots, and then you have all these other scorers on the team as well. So, like, I just really wish we could find a way to maybe get him going like he was in the playoffs last year.
Yep, I agree. Moving on to the next guy, you got Derrick Jones Jr., his partner in crime. 8 points, 10 rebounds, 3 for 6 from the field, 1 for 3 from the 3-point line. Solid game from Derrick Jones Jr.
Yep, I really liked DJ tonight. He definitely another guy. I wish we'd run some different plays for him instead of just standing around. He had a nice putback dunk. There was a play in the first half where he got a screen and he went right around it, like, and stayed in front of his guy and prevented a drive. And it was one of those plays where, like, you don't really see Blazers do that very often.
Yeah.
Usually they either auto switch or they get so far behind the screen that they have to rely on Cantor or whatever to stop the drive. And so if he can consistently beat picks like that in the pick and roll, that can completely change our defense. And that's something that could happen if we have the personnel to do that can overcome the terrible schemes we have on defense. But yeah, so hopefully he can improve on that. I would love to see some of these guys. We saw Reza do it a little bit last year too when he came over. I'd love to see those guys like teach Damon, CJ how to do that too. But other than that, I just thought it was a real nice effort from Derrick Jones. I'm a little worried that he was not moving too well at times in this game. Looked like he was limping quite often in this game, so that's kind of concerning. But hopefully he can get healthier because we need him.
Yeah, Yeah, I agree, and just that's the case for this entire team at this point. Tread water until we can get healthier. Yeah, I mean, he's still skied for a putback dunk. You know what I mean? He's still just so naturally athletic. Like he can still play athletically despite having a foot sprain or foot problems. So, but definitely want him at his peak performance, at his peak athletic ability. But overall, solid game. Rebounded the ball well, defended well. Made a couple shots, had a decently efficient night. That's pretty much just what you want to see out of Derrick Jones Jr. So moving on to Enes Kanter, who had a very quiet game by his standards. He used to score in the starting lineup. He's consistently scored 10 points or more and had numerous games where he's been just a menace on the offensive glass. Only had one offensive rebound tonight, only 6 points. Not a bad game by any means, but just a much quieter game than we're used to at this point from Kanter.
And that's the reason why Dame's assists weren't high either. They didn't really have a lot of plays where Kanter was rolling down the middle while Dame was driving. So that kind of hurt both of their both Dame's assist numbers and Kanter's overall scoring. We did miss a ton of shots in the first half, especially. I think we shot like 35% from the field in the first half, but Orlando was killing us on the board. So I think he tried to get offensive rebounds. It's just Vucevic is a really good rebounder, and they weren't. He didn't really have the opportunities he normally has.
I will say this, and this is something we forgot to touch on with Derrick Jones Jr. Derrick Jones Jr. had 6 offensive rebounds. There was a couple of those offensive rebounds where it seemed like the Magic were so concerned with keeping Enes Kanter off the boards that it gave space for Derrick Jones Jr. to fly in. So that's the thing. You can help your team get offensive rebounds even without getting one yourself, just by being a threat, especially in the NBA where guys know other players and the game plan heavily for other guys. Like, people come in and know that Enes Kanter is a great offensive rebounder, and they're going to pay attention to that in the game. And it seemed like they were really trying to make an effort to put bodies on Kanter, and it opened up some offensive rebounds for Derrick Jones Jr. There's a couple, at least one, where Kanter is just kind of like locked up with Vucevic, and Vucevic couldn't really get off the ground because he and Kanter were like battling for position so hard. He couldn't really get up off the ground to grab a rebound, and Derrick Jones Jr. flew in and rose up and grabbed the rebound. So, just things like that, man. He's such an offensive rebounding threat that he can have a positive impact even when he's not actually grabbing them himself.
Yep, and that's goes back to my whole argument with Collins too. Is that he's not necessarily a stat monster, but he does things like that impact the game. And Kanter's been the same way. And overall, I mean, Vucevic had a pretty good game, but I felt like Kanter did about as good as he could have on him.
Yeah, agreed. Vucevic, very tough matchup for Kanter, and Vucevic tonight. Let me just check the box score. Apologies if an ESPN autoplay ad plays. I think I have it muted. It'll randomly unmute itself at some point. It happens almost every stream. But
I think Vucevic only had 10 and 7.5. So
yeah, Vucevic for the entire game did have a very impressive statistical performance. He played 41 minutes and had 27 points, 15 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. So overall, very good statistic game. But he didn't kill us. He's having a great season so far this season. He's averaging 23 points per game and 11 rebounds and 3.5 assists. I think he should. Despite the Magic not having a good record, I think he should be an all-star this year. There in the Eastern Conference, he deserves it with the statistical production that he's putting up on the board for the Magic. Let's move on and talk about CJ Ellaby next. Only played 9 minutes, had 2 points and a steal, but came in and played good defense. Had a very impressive defensive possession against Cole Anthony where he cut off Cole Anthony's drive, made him miss a shot in close. I'm impressed by him defensively. I didn't expect him to be a good defender. He just, when he's on the court, when you're dealing with guys that are second-round picks, most of the time it's like you're just nervous thinking that they're going to mess things up and make a bad mistake and really hurt the team. But with him on the court, I'm not really worried because he can hold his own defensively. He doesn't like. He's not a guy that's going to jack up shots. Like he doesn't shoot well from the 3-point line, which is discouraging to see. But overall, he's not sitting there shooting a bunch of threes, not making the wrong type of plays offensively. He had a nice drive and finish in this one to get the left-handed finish to get his only 2 points and contributed on the defensive end. So he's a guy that you can kind of just plug in there, and he'll be a bit of a glue guy. It seems like who's not really going to mess things up. He might not have like a positive contribution all that consistently, but for a guy that you took 46th in a draft that many deemed as very shallow, so in a deep draft, Ellaby might have gone undrafted. To be able to slot him in there and not really have to worry about him messing things up, he's not really going to make drastic mistakes, is nice. That's a good thing, and that's more than I expected to say about him this year.
Yeah, just the fact that he's contributing at all is crazy to me. I would have never in a million years guessed that CJ would get playing time in a game that we weren't. I mean, yeah, maybe because of injury or because it's in a blowout situation, but he actually got minutes in the first half of this game when it was close. So, and this is kind of what we were saying a lot last year. We have guys on this team now. CJ Elleby has shown that now in a few games. Nasir Little showed that last year. You saw Wendy Gabriel have a couple games where he showed a defensive impact. When you are this bad defensively, finding these guys that just work so hard on that end. We talked about Trent last year being that kind of guy too. So you need these kind of guys. Like CJ Elleby comes in, he works his butt off, he's flying around, he's getting in the passing lanes, he's disrupting their offense, he's boxing out almost every possession. And for a team that had issues with all these kind of things last year and so far this year, why not just give this guy a chance every once in a while to see if he can make an impact on that end and reward these guys who are actually doing that. And that's another reason why it was a shame that Little got hurt, because I feel like, you have a Little now, you have a Rocco, you have Derek Jones, and if Ellaby shows something, you're starting to see that we have the personnel to actually do some things schematically on defense if we implement some new things. And it would be fun to watch these guys grow up and actually someone like CJ Elleby, who no one thought would contribute this year, actually contribute to the defense, going from one of the worst in the league to a middle of the pack defense would be really exciting to see.
Yep, 100% agree. So nice to see him get a little bit of burn this game and play decently. Last guy we got is Rodney Hood, who had 0 points on 2 shots today. Missed both shots he took. Neither of them were a 3. Played 17 minutes and honestly just didn't really do much positively or negatively. This is just a game where he just was out there and you didn't really notice. You know what I mean? You want him to have a consistently positive impact. So you want to see more than this, but it's the way the offense was functioning, it was he wasn't getting good shots, and it's the alternative is what? He forces his one-on-one game and maybe takes some contested shots and has a really bad shooting night, because he's not able to get good looks going one-on-one? Or would you rather him, not take, not force shots and have a night like tonight? You know what I mean? I don't know. It's not too negative. You would like to see more from him, but I don't know. He's not a guy that forces his own shot. You know what I mean? If he was, he might have been 2 for 10 tonight, which would have been even worse.
Yeah, I agree with you there. At least he's not forcing shots. At least he wasn't in this game. It's so hard because it's obvious that he plays better with the starters, especially with Dame and a big man like Cantor, and then he gets more of a mismatch than he would playing with the bench. But I also don't feel like he's playing good enough to warrant him earning a starting spot over Trent or someone like that, or Derek Jones, which he started over last game. So I feel like we just have to keep on hoping he works it out, and he's going to have to find a way to be just as effective off the bench as he is when he plays with the starters, or maybe like try to find a way to mix them up a little bit more. But yeah, I don't know. It's just going to take. He's going to be super inconsistent until he's super comfortable. He kind of talked before the game. He was the interview right before tip off, where he was talking about just still trying to work his way back mentally and that kind of stuff, and that just takes time to do.
Yep. So that wraps up the individual players. I will turn this to. Yeah. So, what else do you want to talk about? Is there anything, Chet, you want to touch on?
No, you're getting into it, Chet.
Apparently, me saying there's something wrong with Roko's shooting form is me making the excuse for him shooting bad. Apparently, I don't know. I don't know, man. Yeah. So this whole conversation is interesting. Roko is a two-way player. 20 games does not cancel out the rest of his career where he's proven that he's a two-way player. That's my opinion on Roko. Like, he's proven that he's a two-way player throughout multiple seasons, right? And it's not like something where he's 36 where it's like, oh man, he might not be a two-way player anymore, because he's declining because he's 36 years old, right? He's 30. There's no reason to expect, like, decline at this age for him, especially when he's mostly a three-point shooter, right? So let's just look at. This isn't going to include tonight's games, but let's look at his splits for February. It's only going to be a couple games. He played 4 games in February. He shot 38% from the three-point line and 42% from the field. Pretty decent. That's what you want to see. So, like, I expect it to. Here's the thing. There's something wrong with his form. He fixes that, and I think he'll be fine. Like, he'll be completely fine. People overreacting to a 20-game sample. He's averaging 7 points per game. You consider him a threat on the offensive end. Would you think 7 points per game over 20 games this season is more indicative of him as a player than his 12 points per game on 70 games last season? Or how about the season before where he averaged 13 points per game on 35 games? Or how about the season before where he averaged a little under 13 points per game on 80 games? You know what I mean? Like, throughout his career, starting in his second year, 13.5 points per game, 13 points per game, 13 points per game, 12.5 points per game, 13 points per game, 12.5 points per game. That's what he's been every year. And then in 20 games here, 7.5 points per game. It looks like an outlier, right? There's obviously something different, and I honestly think it's just he has something wrong with his form right now. You can compare the footage from now to last year, and you can see the difference in kind of the release and the way his shooting hand is on his release. You can compare. I've done that. I've compared those clips and noticed that. And you're saying I'm just trying to make an excuse. No, it's what I've noticed. So yeah, I fully expect him to be better than how he's been these first 20 games. And maybe he doesn't improve, maybe, I don't know. But there's nothing to suggest that he shouldn't improve from now on. And by the way, the person keeping making burners, you're just wasting your time. Go get a hobby or something. Quit coming in chat making Portlandia burners. If that's you, I'm very disappointed in you, bro. You're better than that, I would think. You need to stop. Like, come on. But yeah, no, Roko will be better. Do you agree with that? What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, yeah. You play the percentages. There's a chance in 21 games. I think it was about 21 games or so with Houston last year. He did shoot 31% from three, but then in the playoffs, it was 34-68 for 50%. So, yeah, like, you just have to hope that that this is just a temporary thing. We obviously could use him shooting better, but yeah, I completely agree that you have to at some point expect him to do that. But as the season goes along, if he continues to shoot this poorly, then it probably will have to be addressed at some point.
I mean, he's still a a 20, or he's still a $10 million a year player. People saying he's not playing up to his contract because he's shooting 30% from three instead of 36. Before the season, he was looked at as a steal for his contract. The only thing that's changed is he's not shooting 36% from three. He's shooting 30%. So if that changes it from a bargain at 11 million to like not playing up to his contract, then that's pretty drastic, in my opinion. People that think he's not worth his contract they're undervaluing the little parts of basketball and the little things he does. They're undervaluing defense. They're undervaluing guys that make the right take the right shots or make the right pass offensively. It's teams still respect his 3-point shot. It's not like he's being completely left open like Al-Farouq Aminu was, so at least teams respect his shot. He's still more of a floor. He's still as much of a floor spacer as Aminu was. So I feel. Don't underestimate the little things he does. People say that's making excuses. No, I think that's just knowing basketball. Like these little things, man, are important. And some people don't notice them. And that's fine if you don't notice them. That's fine if you think his 3-point shooting is 100% what determines him as a player. But I heavily disagree with that.
Yep. Reese was asking what we thought about the Orlando Magic. With their injuries, especially, they're awful. They're a pretty average team, even without the injuries. It's a shame that someone like Fultz, who was starting to really play well, went down, and they already were without Isaac for most of the year. They got a lot of firepower.
They were without future Blazer Aaron Gordon, right? Yuck. The thing is, Aaron Gordon was actually playing solid this year.
Point forward. We put him in the Hazonia role.
I know, yeah, great. We need another former Orlando Magic player to put in the Hazonia role. Right. I mean, dude's still a 32% career 3-point shooter. And yeah, he's getting 4 assists per game at the power forward spot. Cool, and can defend. I mean, I don't know. If he could shoot 37% from 3 and be a little bit more consistent defensively, then he would be intriguing. But not for CJ. Not for CJ. Y'all want to trade a guy who right now is averaging 27 and 5 efficiently, basically playing like a bona fide all-star for Aaron freaking Gordon? People were really suggesting that for a guy who, he gets 14 points per game and 7 rebounds as a power forward and 4 assists. Like, really? It's crazy to me, man. It's crazy to me that some of the people that want to trade CJ for players that are far inferior to him.
Yep, we don't need more role players.
We need more top-end talent, right? Yep. Yeah. Everybody complains about the role players we always have, but then want to trade a star caliber player for a role player. It doesn't make sense. Let's go around the NBA. The Pistons upset the Nets today. Jeremy Grant, who's been very, very good this year. He make sure this ad doesn't play. He had 32 points. The Nets were playing with Kyrie and James Harden. They weren't playing with Kevin Durant.
That's cringe, Reese.
What did Reese say?
You see, CJ has been awful these last 10 games, 0 points.
Yeah, you're funnier. I thought you were funnier than that. Like, come on, man. You're better than that.
Katie, I had that thing on Saturday where he was told he wasn't going to be able to play, and then they let him play, and then they had to pull him halfway through the game, and
that's why he's out. That whole situation
Kyrie
is
is crying about it, but yeah, he's in a mandatory 6-day no contact thing or whatever.
DeLon Wright has been playing well for the Pistons. He had 22 tonight. He's pieced together a couple of decent games. 2 games in a row where he's had 22 points.
Pistons have Dennis Smith Jr. now.
Yeah. Derrick Rose for Dennis Smith Jr. in a second-round pick. That's a steal for the Knicks. I don't really like the move of the Knicks, but Dennis Smith Jr. is G League. He's never going to amount to anything, in my opinion. I wouldn't even care to have him on the roster if I'm Detroit, right? So basically, they trade Derrick Rose for a second-round pick. I thought they would be able to get a little bit better value for him, and they should have traded him last year. They probably could have gotten a first-round pick. So I don't know whose second-round pick that is. I don't know how early it'll be in the second round. But, pretty good return on value for the Knicks, even though it doesn't make the most sense with the players they got on that team, and they bring him back, and Tom Thibodeau just loves having his former Bulls players, man. You got Taj Gibson there and Derrick Rose together there. They were together in Minnesota with Tom Thibodeau. They were together in Chicago with Tom Thibodeau. Kind of funny. But Pistons, Saddiq Bey, your guy Saddiq Bey in 21 minutes, 6 for 6 from the field, 3 for 3 from the three-point line, had 15 points. He helped them tonight. Josh Jackson had 13 points. He's been an intriguing player so far this season. He hasn't been the most efficient, but he's playing big minutes for them, and maybe he can finally figure out his NBA career because he has looked like a bust so far, but has had some decent games for the Pistons. Let me go back to the score sheet. Let's move on. You got the Heat beating the Knicks by 2. The Heat moved to 10-14 on the season. The Knicks are 11-15. Jimmy Butler had 26 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds. Elfrid Payton had 18 points. He played well against us in our previous game, and he's been scoring the ball better than he normally does. Derrick Rose made his Knicks debut already. He had 14 points off the bench for them. Kelly Olynyk also had 20 for the Heat. Bam had 19 points, 6 rebounds. Feel free to interject with any thoughts on any of these teams, Eric.
I'm just reading chat.
For sure. I'm just letting you know. You can cut me off and say whatever you want. I'm just rolling through here. You got the Pelicans beating the Rockets 130-101. The Pelicans moved to 11-12. The Rockets are now at 11-13. John Wall had. Let's start with the winning team. You had Brandon Ingram with 22 points on 9 for 13 shooting in 28 minutes for the Pelicans. Zion had 20 points, 7 rebounds. Josh Hart had 20 off the bench. Willie Hernangomez had 14. My guy Kyra Lewis had 10 points on 3 for 6 from the field in 20 minutes. That was one of my favorite draft sleepers. Wenyan Gabriel got 2 minutes and recorded a rebound.
He has barely played it on.
I know. Gotta give that man a chance. On the Rockets side of things, John Wall had 25 points. They were without Victor Oladipo today. He did not play due to a right quad injury. I don't think it's serious. He should be fine. The Rockets kind of went on a tear there, including the game they beat us, and then they've kind of fallen back down to earth. It's going to be interesting to see where they finish out the season. The Warriors beat the Spurs in a rematch of last night's game. They beat them by a score of 114-91. Steph Curry had 32 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists for the Warriors. Juan Toscano-Anderson had, I don't know why I brought his name up. He had 11 points. Andrew, I just like saying his name. I saw somebody say Juan Toscano-Anderson like earlier today, and for some reason I had it in my mind that he had a big game, but he had 11 points. 8 rebounds, 3 assists. I mean, that's not bad. He shot 5 for 14, though. Andrew Wiggins had 14 points on 5 for 14 shooting. Eric Paschal, 15 points. So Kent Bazemore has been decent in limited minutes for them. He had 10 points on 3 for 6 shooting, 2 for 5 from the three-point line. He's been much more efficient there than he was for us.
Did you see Draymond last night?
Dude, that was ridiculous, man. If you guys haven't seen the clip of Draymond,
why he thought that way, but yeah, you can't.
It looks like he's coming to foul, so I understand trying to draw the free throws or something, but once you're not feeling the contact when the ball's about to leave your hands, you got to get it to somebody else. Yeah. If somebody's coming to foul me, I'm trying to jump up high in the air when they're getting there so that I have time to shoot the ball, or if they don't foul me, I still have time in the air to look around and make the pass. He just chucked it at the backboard. That was funny. Man, that was so funny, especially since it's Draymond too. For the Spurs, nobody had a notable performance. Rudy Gay had 17 points. Aldridge did not play. Let's move on to the next game. Jazz beat the Celtics, continuing their hot streak. They beat them by a score of 122-108. Donovan Mitchell had 36 points, 12 for 23 from the field, 9 assists. Joe Ingles had 24 points, 5 for 11 from the three-point line. He also made 9 of his 10 free throws. He got to the line a lot. Also poured in 6 assists, so good game from Joe Ingles. Rudy Gobert had 18, 12, and 3 blocks, as well as 3 assists. Jason Tatum had 23. Jaylen Brown had 33 in the loss for the Celtics. And the last game of the night, you had the 76ers being the Kings. The 76ers is who we play next on Thursday. They had Ben Simmons in this one, Joel Embiid. Embiid poured in 25 points, 17 rebounds, 6 assists. Really filled up the stat sheet. Ben Simmons had 14 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds. Seth Curry and Tobias Harris each had 22 apiece. Furkan freaking Korkmaz had 13 off the bench in 17 minutes. I just like saying his name. And then losing effort for the Kings. De'Aaron Fox had 34 points, 10 assists, 6 rebounds. Buddy Hield had 21 points. De'Aaron Fox he's been
playing really well. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been playing really well. And I remember, we had a talk on a post-game show earlier this year. I think it was after one of the Kings game about De'Aaron Fox, and since we've had that talk, he's been playing a lot better, Eric, because Eric was kind of down on him, and I was like, oh, he'll be fine. On the season right now, he's averaging 23 points per game, 6.5 assists, shooting 48% from the field, 36% from 3 in 33 minutes per game. So he's picked it back up just to spite you.
I mean, yeah, he's been playing well. I wouldn't say those numbers are great still, but...
You would say 23? What? You wouldn't say those numbers are great?
I mean, they're good, but now he's not like a rookie anymore. He's in his, 4th year now?
Yeah, I mean, he's barely 23.
I know.
And per 36, he's giving you, because he's only playing 33 minutes a game. Per 36, he's giving you...
he was per 36 on Stars, man. Come on.
Bro, but, if you play 33 minutes between 36 minutes, your stats are going to look a little bit less, right? But that's only because of a minutes differential. It's not like somewhere a guy's playing 18 minutes, and if he played 36 minutes, he's probably not going to be able to record the same statistical production because he's going to be playing a lot more and going to be playing a lot more. He's going to be tired when he's in the game a lot more, right? So, it's not a clean conversion. But if you're talking about 33 minutes to 36 minutes, that difference, I don't know.
He's been really good, though, especially
per 36, he's 25 points per game and 7 assists. And he's efficient. His efficiency is 57% from the true shooting percentage.
Yeah.
But I think those are pretty dang good. 33 minutes per game, 23 points per game, and 6.5 assists. I think that's pretty damn good. I won't give Michael Porter Jr. his credit. You won't give De'Aaron Fox his credit. It is what it is. Although I think it's more justifiable to hate Michael Porter Jr. than it is to hate De'Aaron Fox.
Okay, first of all, I never said I hated De'Aaron Fox. And second of all,
Trolled.
You need to take your advice from earlier and listen to what I said. I said 3 times he's been playing great. I don't know what
not good enough.
More I'd have to say.
He's been playing out of this world. He's he's been playing. He won Player of the Week last week, bro.
Yeah, that's been really good.
Player of the Week, De'Aaron Fox to you, Eric.
Very good lately. Includes the week that he just concluded that he got Player of the Week. Yes,
amazing.
Yes.
I'm not an MPJ fan, E-Ray. I enjoy trolling Michael Porter Jr. and I enjoy hating on him. The dude cannot defend a paperclip. He cannot defend. He couldn't defend me. He couldn't defend Eric. He'd make Eric look like De'Aaron Fox in terms of speed. Yeah. And let's not get into any of his views on anything outside of basketball. Let's not go there. Yeah, so looking at the standings, everybody's all excited because we're back in 5th when we were 8th. I don't know why people are so excited about our standings position game in, game out when it's this bunched up. We are literally a game behind 4th, right? Which is the Phoenix Suns. We're 3 games ahead of 14th, which is OKC at 10 and 13. 14th is 3 games behind us, right? We're 3 games behind 3rd. We're as close to 14th as we are to 3rd. It's so bunched up. You got the you got the Jazz leading the conference. The Lakers are a game behind. Clippers are 3 games back in third. Suns are 5 games back in fourth. Us and the Spurs are tied at 5 and 6, being 6 games back. The Nuggets and Warriors are tied at 7 and 8, being 7 games back. The Kings are 7.5 games back at 9th, so only a half game out of the playoffs. They're at 500, 12 and 12. Pelicans are 8 games back, as well as the Grizzlies. The Rockets are 8.5. Mavericks and Thunder are 9 games back. The only team that isn't in that jam-packed section of teams, you got 4 games separating 4th and 14th. The only team that is below that and further away from you got the Minnesota Timberwolves in 15th at 6 and 18. They're 4.5 games back of the Thunder. The Thunder are closer to 4th than the Timberwolves are to them. Right? 14th is closer to 4th than the 15th place Timberwolves team is to 14th. So yeah, it's they suck. Ever since somebody looked it up,
the Timberwolves this year.
Yeah, since they tweeted out that tweet, they're like 17 and 52. That tweet last season at the start of the season when it was like their account saying people said that we were going to be bad this year when they started off like 500 after 10 games or something like that. Maybe they were like 6 and 4. They
were 7 and 4 or something like that.
Yeah. Yikes. So, I like seeing the Blazers near the top of the Western Conference. That's cool, but I'm not gonna focus too heavily on standings positions at this point. I mean, our point differential is worse than Houston's. Houston is in 12th place. We're in 5th place, but our point differential per game is negative 0.8. Theirs is negative 0.3. So we've dealt with a lot of blowout losses, a lot of close wins. We have a negative point differential despite being in 5th place. I don't know if that means anything, I don't know. It is kind of interesting to look at the point differential, though. Because in the East, every team in the top 8 right now has a positive point differential. Every team outside the top 8 has a negative point differential. And it's pretty clean cut. With the West, it's just the Pelicans have a positive point differential. The Warriors have a +1 point differential. The Nuggets are 12 and 11, a game behind us. And their point differential is 1.8 points better than ours. So they have a +1 point differential. So it's kind of intriguing to look at. That's just how crazy the West is right now. It's very competitive.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how this shakes out. I'm also interested to see as we get closer to the end of this first part of the schedule how they do the second half of the season and what that's going to look like and all that. I'm glad we haven't played the Jazz lately, but just stay afloat here, stay in the middle of the pack until we get our guys back, and then hopefully go on a run like we did in the bubble. Only this time, it's for home court advantage versus just making the playoffs as the 8 seed.
Yep.
You want to stay out of those playing games, I think, should be the goal this season.
Yeah,
at the very least, do not get in the playoff.
Yeah, I mean, because top 6, you probably avoid a series against the Lakers or the Clippers, but with how good the Jazz are playing, maybe they're a top 2 team. But like hypothetically, assuming they come back to earth a little bit, if you get a top 6 seed, not only do you avoid the play-in, but you wouldn't have to play the Lakers or the Clippers in round 1. That should definitely be a goal. Westbrick, I am tempted to give you a 5-minute timeout for that comment, my guy. Actually, I will. Actually, no. I gave you a timeout last time. This is your warning. Don't ever call me that again, bro. Come on now. Melo ain't LeBron. Call you boy on the block. That's what we'll call you. You got Block Boy and Brick Boy. I don't know. What else do you want to talk about? We're about to wrap up this stream.
What do you think of the Super Bowl?
Boring. Yeah. I don't know. Lots of people complaining on Twitter. Oh, the refs suck. Oh, this halftime performance just sucks. Oh, this game is so boring. Just everybody just complaining. It was just funny to watch. Like, Just to seem like everybody, oh, the ads, these ads are terrible. Like everybody was complaining about something during the Super Bowl.
Yeah. The refs did make a lot of calls, but yeah, no, a lot of them were the right calls. So,
We got screwed over last year as Niner fans, much more than the Chiefs did this year, because we were still winning despite dude, Chiefs were holding on every play, man. I wish they called it like this year's Super Bowl. We would have won last year. It was very frustrating. Yeah, the Weeknd's mic quality at the start of that halftime performance was very weird. It was like too low. Yeah. It was just mixed weird. It was weird. It improved. It improved throughout. It was like, okay, well, it's just gonna start off bad and gonna get better. It was better at the end. Some of you guys might not like that type of music. I'm kind of on the Weeknd. He's high.
It's the problem with a lot of the Super Bowl performances. Like the music is too loud compared to the singing, and it's really hard to hear and stuff like that. And then you turn it up, and all you hear is more of the background music instead of the voice and stuff like that. But
my favorite Super Bowl halftime show was Super Bowl 50. That was the one with Coldplay, Beyonce, Bruno Mars. That's probably my favorite that I've seen.
That's what I was surprised that there was no like guest performance. Like I was expecting someone to like jump out and do like a song other than Weeknd at some point.
Weeknd doesn't really feature with
yeah, but that doesn't really matter
on their songs. He doesn't really have people feature on his.
Like
it doesn't. I don't know. I'm just speculating as to maybe why, but yeah. Dude spent like $6 or $7 million of his own money apparently, which is crazy to me. I don't know the deal behind that. I need to actually like read about that because I've heard that he spent millions of his own money. So I mean, props to him. You know, hopefully it helps his career as much as he spent on it. But I don't know.
You know, I believe that's like a non-paying performance. Like you don't get paid for it. You have to. It's like the publicity of it is your payment or whatever.
Yeah. Of course you do, Westbrook. You're dirty, man. So yeah, I don't know. Super Bowl was boring. Not much to really say.
Yeah, I was disappointed. It wasn't at least a close game.
Yeah, I mean, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense won that game. I don't want to hear anything about Brady. I don't think he was that spectacular at all. He just he could he was decent. Oh, 100%, right? But if anybody deserved the Super Bowl MVP, it was the entire Bucs defense. Like, you know, that's the thing is like their defense was the main reason they won that game because they played phenomenal defensively. That's my takeaway. You know, and Brady's still playing decent football at his age is remarkable. But it's not like, I don't know. I feel like Patrick Mahomes was just as impressive as him, but was running for his life and then having receivers drop passes and, just like that impressive play where he scrambled, probably ran about 50 yards and then threw like lateral to the ground, a sidearm throw when he's lateral to the ground while he's being tackled. And it hits off the guy's face mask. You know what I mean? I think it barely got tipped, so that's why he couldn't readjust his hands to catch it. But like, that play was impressive as hell, and it was an incomplete pass on 4th down. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I thought they should have tried to establish the run a little more. I felt like they just played right into your bad offensive line not being able to block Tampa Bay by passing almost every down.
Yeah, definitely.
And Edwards-Helaire had like 64 yards on 9 carries. It's not like he wasn't getting good chunks whenever they ran it with him. I just thought they abandoned it way too early.
Yeah.
I know the Bucs have a good run defense, but it's not like they were shutting the run down. They just didn't run very often.
Yeah, I mean, they were basically just prepared to defend against Mahomes in the pass. And, I mean, like, yeah, they have a good run defense, but it seemed like they were pretty well prepared for the passing game. So that's why you run it more, if you're struggling offensively and see if you can make things work like that, because it's not like they really were shutting it down when you did get the ball. So I agree with that. Anything else you want to talk about or say on the stream?
Nope. We'll be back Thursday.
We will be back Thursday with Blazers Uprise Live to preview that game. We'll have picks against the spread. That'll be over on our streaming channel. Link is in the description below if you haven't subscribed to that channel. Blazers Uprise highlights. We might post. I might post a full highlights reaction for channel members only over on our highlights channel. There should also be a link in the description. For channel members, I will post the link to member only videos in the community tab, and I'll also tweet out once I've done that. So that's how you can get access to that. We will be doing 4 full highlight reactions a month for channel members only, and then a couple more on top of that for everybody. Just as a thank you for channel members. So if you want to become a channel member, hit the join button below. Thank you to everybody who is a channel member. You got Shervin, Zarek Olsen, Westbrick. Shout out to our mods, Westbrick, Trevin, Reese. All those guys help us out a lot, especially when chat gets like how it is tonight. You can follow us on Twitter at ToryJonesYT for me, at HoopShock for Eric. Our handles are in the name tag that's like right in front of my mouth right now. At Blazers Uprise YT is the channel's Twitter. I would appreciate a follow if you guys feel like it. If you guys use Twitter, pretty active on there. I've been kind of dormant lately, but I don't know, just taking a break from Twitter, man. Sometimes you just gotta take a break from that thing. But you guys can go follow us if you want. Other than that, did I forget anything in the plug, Eric?
No, I don't think so.
I'm gonna start making you do these and see how you do.
All right.
I'm sure you can handle it fine. Yeah. So anyway, that's a wrap for this stream. Thank you guys for tuning in. The Blazers get it done tonight with a 9-point win against the Magic. We'll see if they can move to 14-10 on Thursday against the Philadelphia 76ers. I expect that to be a completely different game than the first matchup against them. So we'll preview that right before. Hope to see you then. And until next time, that's a wrap. As always, peace out. Go Blazers.